Hey everyone, this is sports stuff on a politics stuff that's going on inside of the umbrella of the Young Turks Network. That's the summary. That is Denise Jones. I am Strom. We're in a pretty good place right now. It seems like Kawhi is not. Kawhi Leonard, of course, is who we're speaking of the San Antonio Spurs. And we have been given a drop of insight from NBA veteran Carlos Boozer and mainly Nate Robinson off of their podcast on the SI Network.
For Kawhi's part, if he's, like you said, you know your body. If you're hurt, bro, and you're waiting for your doctors, like I know how the team doctors are. They'll make you play when maybe you're not ready just because we need you out there, we want you out there. But what I heard from a little birdie, the reason why he doesn't, and not that he doesn't want to play, is that he doesn't want to be in San Antonio no more, is because that I heard a big bag was coming.
Ooh.
But if he doesn't leave San Antonio, that bag's not coming.
Really?
So he's like, let me reevaluate my situation. I honestly think like him being somewhere like LA, being somewhere from home.
Somewhere new.
You know what I'm saying? Because
he's from
you know what I'm saying?
there.
Because everybody can't, like, yeah, San Antonio's a great organization, but a lot of people don't want to live in San Antonio. Honestly, bro, a lot of that plays a part for some guys in the NBA. It may not say it, or they may not, their body expression may not, give that energy off. But believe me, he definitely wants to be somewhere, especially like being at home, playing in front of his
family,
I would love to play in
his
Seattle.
friends he grew up in.
You feel me?
All right, so we discussed this a little bit before we went on. It was the emoji game from Nate Robinson and Carlos Boozer were fire.
Yeah, graphic designer deserves all the credit.
All the credit.
Super
Not
good.
necessarily for the content, but for, the cover
visuals,
of the book.
The visuals.
Yes, very much so. The second part is Nate Robinson has been the first guy I have ever heard say that no one really wants to go and play in San Antonio. Now, maybe they had different players in the past who didn't really, give a damn about where they played,
Right.
like a Tony Parker, a Manu Ginobili, a Tim Duncan, a David Robinson. Those times have passed. Maybe they thought they had it in Kawhi. And they thought that he gave off that same sort of energy by being humble, not a big talker, doesn't really seek the limelight. Maybe that's what they thought they got, and it could be different. But what we know right now is that he has now taken a second sabbatical away from the team. It appears that he doesn't want to be there. But more importantly, firstly with Nate Robinson, this is the first time I've ever heard this, ever.
It is the first time, but it's not too surprising either. I mean, aside from the culture that happens in San Antonio, which we're not going to dive too deep into, but I'm sure it's not exactly.
Yeah.
And then you're right. The culture that is established in the Spurs is very fitting with a personality and a player like Kawhi. But at the same time, though the Spurs are in conversations, they're not really as deep when it comes to championships and finals. It's not a team that you're speaking too much of.
Well, I mean, in the last, their streak got broken, but in the last 20 years, they finished with 50 wins or more. It just got snapped this year.
That's what I was about to say.
They've been super successful over the last 20 years, but when you're talking about, markets to play and what have you, it's Boston, or not necessarily Boston, it's LA, it's New York, and then maybe you go with Boston, Chicago,
right.
Brooklyn, what have you. So here's the other part about this. Now this is catching steam. Brian Windhorst went on the record saying on Outside the Lines, I've already talked to several NBA GMs. At the end of this season, teams will call the Spurs and inquire about the availability of Kawhi Leonard. What? So then Jalen Rose had an idea, and here's what he said on ESPN. Take a look at that, and then we'll discuss.
Realistically, where can you see him going that's a better situation with the potential to win year in and year out?
You're going to like this. The Boston Celtics. They have the assets.
Right.
They developed Jaylen Brown. They developed Tatum. I've talked about this all year. In order for them to take the next step, they need another all-star. They're going to lose one of those players to acquire them. They're going to probably lose Rozier and or Smart. You probably got to lose Horford for his salary. Kawhi Leonard with Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving in the Eastern Conference.
I can actually see him going to Los Angeles Lakers.
All right. The reason I cut it off is because I love Paul Pierce as a basketball player. He brings nothing to the table with analysis. I'm being dead. I'm being dead serious. Like, my God. Like, I could, and he brought nothing. It's like, yeah, they have room. Like, okay, you need more insight. Like, Jalen Rose was like, hey, I'm going to get you to point A to point Z.
Right,
and Paul Pierce is like, I don't know about point B. Like, let me drag it on a little bit. Like if Jalen Rose is the Ferrari of ESPN, Paul Pierce is like the ice cream truck.
Oh,
Okay, so
I thought you were gonna say the Honda or something. Jesus.
No, I went slower. Like you know
That's
that ice cream truck that Borat had that he bought for like $200. Like that's the kind of car that Paul Pierce represents.
That's
Love
hard.
him as a player. Oh, okay. So Jalen has a good point.
He did.
They have young talent. Everyone knows what they're trying to build. They also have a few more picks. Do you see Kawhi Leonard going to Boston as the best fit, or could you make a case for elsewhere?
No, I mean, it is the best fit, especially because Boston had so much potential early on this season. And then, of course, the Gordon Hayward injury set them back just a little. But I feel like Kyrie, in the most recent games, he's been spazzing out more and more. And I feel like with the chemistry that Kawhi would bring to the table, it would make a lot of sense for them to acquire a player like himself.
Right. But I mean, you'd have to give up guys like, as you said, like a Terry Rozier. That's cool. You would have to decide between Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and it would mainly be who the Spurs want to go after more and who they think they can build around more. This is like a rarity.
Whose personality do you see more fitting in the Spurs, though, going to the Spurs?
Probably Jason Tatum, more so than Jaylen Brown. Like, actually, you know what? It doesn't really matter. Jason Tatum is like a calm, humble guy. Jaylen Brown is
he's really very young.
Very young. They're both very young. But like Jaylen Brown, like the one knock on Jaylen Brown that I love, and it goes to show like a lot of draft scouts and whatever, like they don't really know what the hell they're talking about.
Right.
So they were like, he went to Cal, he was in chess club, and he's too smart. Too smart? Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Like they're saying some
Scouts
crap
have
about
the best
Josh
job.
Rosen
Yeah.
right now. That's like he came from too good of a family. Like, come on, dude.
Right.
So my point is either one could really fit in because they both can fit the system.
Fair.
It just depends on who they could continue to extend throughout the years that they would be there. A few teams that I think they should call, if not Boston, are Philadelphia, because hey, you just dangle it out there. You see maybe they could throw in a Dario Saric, a Markelle Fultz, and you get a pick. That's a good return. If you try to maybe get Ben Simmons involved, do I think it's going to happen? No, because I think Philly really, really likes Ben Simmons.
Right.
But that's another one. And then lastly, Minnesota. You trade Andrew Wiggins, you trade Jeff Teague if they'll take him, and you throw in a first-round pick and then maybe another one after that. This is a rarity where, and we could show this super quick, is the contract that Kawhi Leonard could get. It is massive. It's massive. What he wants is another re-upping of the deal, not only with his NBA contract, but also with an endorsement.
When you said Philadelphia, and this is a conversation for another day, but the only reason I would say no to that is because I would want Markelle to come to LA.